All right, ready to go?
Yeah, I am, mate.
Okay, welcome to the G&JB show. This is episode number 45. Jack Bowen, how are you, mate?
I'm good, Whiteaxe. How are you?
Good, mate. Mate, one of the club legends today, Michael Booth. You want to give him his intro?
Well, I don't know too much about his footy career, but I know about him personally. Know he talks a bit of shit down here at the gym and gets amongst it. Probably one of the hardest workers here too, just quietly.
How are you, Booth?
Yeah, good, mate. Good.
Mate, we've known you for a long while. You've been a good member of the gym and probably, like Jack said, probably the fittest bloke in the gym and most dedicated. But, mate, I suppose today what we want to know about is you, where it started, where you were born, and take us from there. Let's go through your life, mate. I know it's a long one.
Oh, it's funny. it's good to see you on time anyway.
Yeah. Oh. Here we go.
You want to tell us that story?
Oh, no, it's just...
Next podcast.
Yeah. Our sessions are now 45. Just waiting for the coach.
Fuck off. Go back to my question.
No, I got born in Gingin, in outside of Bundy. I grew up with cane farm, so we never had any sport or anything get out. It was just one school, primary school, to grade 10, and we got a school teacher, Johnny Biggs, moved there as one of the teachers, and he started most of the sports stuff. He was a rower. He used to row for Queensland and that, and he just started footy, the athletics program, and that within the school, and from there, everything sort of grew off on that. We had one. Well, basically, we all did athletics, the running and that. But he started the football, where we started, and we had one team for first 3 years. So the team was under 10s, and me and Ashtray, a mate of mine, we were 8, so we had to play 2 years up all the time.
Ashtray.
Ashtray, yeah.
Real name?
Ashley.
Ashtray's better. I get it.
Yeah, but as we got older, when we go for a few beers, you look around, you're looking for Ashley or Ashtray, and there he was. In those days, we used to have the ashtrays were on the bottom of the bar. He'd be asleep in them. That's why he got his nickname.
Oh, shit. Excellent. Yeah, so you started playing rugby league with that teacher got you into it. Was rugby league in your family before? Like, was your old man a player?
No, he was just a cane farmer. That's all he did. Nothing really. We never had anything. Mother played a bit of a netball or something like that, but other than that, no.
Yeah, right. So you got into it for the Gingin. What were they? Gingin.
We're the Hawks.
The Hawks. I was just going to guess Gingin Hawks.
Yeah, they're still the Hawks. So yeah.
Right, and then you played, and so you got into that. And did you play like rep footy or anything like that when you were kids? Like, did you get opportunities for Queensland, or what was the region be?
Yeah, well, it used to play then. You'd have Wide Bay would play their own, we'd play into town, so it'd be Maryborough, Gympie, Sunshine Coast, Rocky, Gladstone, and then they had South Burn. It used to be Wondai and all that through that area, which was. In my era, we come through, there was Brad Testman, Brian Niebling, Big Mel was he was at Sunshine Coast and all that. So Greg Sutton and a few other lads at and Maryborough. So when we used to get the side together, like a Wide Bay side, we were very competitive when we played in Queensland, like schoolboys and rep football.
And so 1988 comes, Broncos get their first side. When did everyone would have known about it? Probably late 86 maybe, or in 86, I'm guessing that the Broncos were going to get a side?
Yeah, it had been coming for, same as like what's happened with the Dolphins now. There's talk of it for a while, and then it was probably 12 months before, yeah.
Was that, mate, you were back in, obviously you'd already moved to Brisbane by then. Mate, let's skip the Broncos era when they started. Let's go back to you coming to Brisbane. How did that all happen?
Ted Verenkamp from East come up to watch. We're in the grand final. We played brothers, and I was playing for Natives in Bundy, the Magpies, the mighty Magpies, and I was only just turned 18, and they come up to watch another player, and in that game I'd been playing centre for a club, and our centre got a fullback got hurt in the semi-final, so we had another young bloke coming through as centre, so we put him in the centres, and I went back and played fullback, and I ended up getting man of the match, scored a couple of meat pies, and then they end up signing me instead of him.
Perfect.
So that's where it was. So then that was 1979, so then come down to 1980.
Yeah, right. And mate, back then you played in the heights of Brisbane Rugby League, didn't you? What were the crowds at local games then?
Oh, well, it's sort of like, in that era, it was probably one of the best eras around, because you never had, there was only the one TV game that was on the ABC.
Oh, yeah.
All the rest you had to go to your local clubs. So you'd play at, say, at Langlands Park, we'd get 5,000-6,000 be chocker. You'd go to any Valleys, which used to be over at the old Valleys place, at Albion there. It'd be chocker-block. West was the same, Brothers, everywhere. And if you happen to get the Saturday TV game at Lang Park, it was a TV one, there'd be 12,000-15,000 to go out on a Saturday half to watch it.
So, mate, that's huge, mate. Now what do they get, 200 people there? Like, it's just family and relatives, really, that go and watch, or a couple of mates, that sort of stuff?
Yeah, well, but the thing back then, it was like you had C grade, reserve grade, A grade. And if you played C grade, you could still play first grade at the end of the day, because there was no reserves. You had 13, so C grade would play. When they finished, they'd pick 6 people that sit on the line for reserve grade. There's no fresh reserves. So you could play C grade, then sit on the line, and after 5 minutes, play reserve grade. If you got through that unscathed, you could get picked then to sit on the line for first grade. Yeah,
So you could end up playing 3 games in one day. Is that what you're saying?
Well, on one weekend we played Valleys, and I was coming back from injury. I might have been suspended, I don't know what it was.
More like the latter.
Anyway, but I played C grade. They said, have a run in C grade for 20 minutes, then straight in reserve grade. Played that, come off. We're over at Valleys. Just come in, took my jersey off, was having a drink of water. And next minute they said, you're out. Greg Holborn got knocked out in the first tackle of the game, so then I had to run out. So I ended up playing 2 games plus 20 minutes straight in a row.
Shit. Started in C grade, earning more money per weekend than the first graders.
And we got beaten in every grade.
Perfect.
So it was a good day out.
So when you came down originally from Bundy, was it East that you signed with, or you just end up there?
East, yeah. No, I got signed with East, so I had 4 years there.
And then where'd you go from there?
DJ left. Desi Morris signed. He was coaching down at Wynnum, so he signed me to go down there in '84, but only played 3 games, and then did my ankle, which put me out for nearly 15 months.
Oh, you were telling me the story about the other day. Was it acupuncture, wasn't it? The only thing that fixed it?
It was. So we had a few injuries. That was the year '84 when Wynnum had all the good players. We had a really good side. They ended up winning it, but we had a lot of. It was in the Woolies. They used to have the pre-season comp. We had a fair few injuries. The French boys, Gene Miles, Scotty, Colin Scott. There's a few others were all out injured. DJ said, "I'll give you," because my ankle's playing up. He said, "I'll just get a needle in it for this game. I'll give you a rest then for the next few weeks," which I did, but I had a stress fracture, which I didn't know. But then when I was running it, got the needle, it just snapped.
Oh, shit.
So, yeah, so I ended up having to get the...
Kept going?
So I had to get it pinned, and then when I come back 6 weeks after training, I tore all the ligaments and everything again. But yeah, it took me nearly 15 months, and the only thing that got me back was acupuncture, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Everything else made it worse.
I suppose at that stage you were just willing to try anything to get it right, and it worked.
Well, yeah, I'd given up on physio because it would just drive me mad. The more physio I did, the worse it got. And I was flat walking, and then 4 weeks of acupuncture, which I got referred to from I think it was Desi Morris actually referred me to. They were down in Morningside, and I went there. And the bloke said, "Just do this. Don't do anything for 4 weeks. Come see me 4 days a week." And 4 weeks later, he said, "Get your shoes on, go for a run down the corner and back." I didn't know if he was taking the piss or not, but run down, good as gold. So within probably another 5 weeks, I was training.
So after Wynnum, where did you go from there?
But Valleys, I went
Yep.
to Valleys for 2 years, and
Was Wally there then?
no, Wally was at Wynnum.
Oh, mate, what a side that would have been. Gene Miles, Wally Lewis, like you said, Colin Scott, did you say as
Yeah,
well?
I think there was 9 internationals in that side.
Huge.
But what they did was, it probably salary caps and stuff now sorts it out, but they bought everyone, but what they ended up doing, they didn't pay them anyway because they went arse over. They couldn't afford everyone. So that, unfortunately, that year I played and then missed 15 months and I couldn't work or whatever. And there was only, I think, 5 or 6 of the big boys got paid.
Yeah,
The rest never got paid. So it's good in one way, but it just needs to be spread around so that at the end of the day, they don't just sign all your good players into one club and then they can't pay them anyway.
Yeah, right. So Valley's next. So, what did you say? 2 seasons there?
Yeah, McQuarter was coaching them there, and he
Yeah.
signed me, said to see if I wanted to come down and play there. So I went over there, and there was a fair few boys that were playing at East, Bobby Arnold and Keithy Neller and a few other boys that were there. So went over there for a couple of years, and then Bobby back signed me to go from there over to North.
Yeah,
With
right.
Greg Dowling and a few other lads, Paul McCabe and that. So for that year we went over there and I ended up staying there for 3.
Mate, whenever I go to the go for a bit of a flirt on the poking machines at East, I see 1983 grand final. Did you win it that year? 83.
83 we did. Yeah.
83 they won it. I see Boothy up there with a full head of blonde hair, mate. Excellent. But a lot of guys that I grew up as a kid watching playing for Halifax played in that side with you, like Keith Neller, Martin Bella. Did
Bobby Arnold.
Bobby
there was,
Arnold? Did Tony Anderson
Tony
play?
Anderson.
I don't think he was in the. Was he in the first grade side or
No.
not?
Tony, I think in that year,
He could run, man.
he could run there. But I think he tore his quad and we were playing, they had this ingenious idea. They had that big, the big round ball they used to bring out. And they'd put it on and people would run into it and you'd try and knock
Oh
it.
yeah.
Yeah, so we had that at training and I think we broke 2 arms, did a quad and a shoulder or something in it, yeah. So that was bad, yeah. But Tony did that. He did his quad and playing that.
Yeah, mate. I remember watching him when I was a kid. Mate, he was just so fast and such a finely tuned athlete. That's what we from the stands saw him. But I'd say he'd get injured at times, like you said, just pulling a hammy or pulling a muscle. He'd just take off so fast. He was. Did you play with Grant Ricks as well?
Rixie, yeah, at Valleys.
Oh, that was at Valleys.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Ricks and then Jed Allen. Gavin Allen, he come down there. Les Kiss was on the wing. Kissy, they all went through. Mark Hone.
Oh, was that at North or at East?
No, Mark Hone was
Valleys.
at Valleys.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Greg Walker. There was a lot. Mark Coyne.
Oh yeah, Mark Coyne. Yeah.
So, yeah, we had a good side in that. But there was that era, as I say, through there was a lot of good teams in that comp there.
Because people weren't going to Sydney at that time. They were staying in Brisbane, weren't they? That's where the good comp was.
Well, yeah, and that's where the Bronco thing started. With when they started, it was because we had such a good comp up here, probably the second best comp in the world. England was behind ours.
Yeah.
And they started the side. Yeah, they put the Bronco side in.
Mate, what was the excitement? Was it excitement or were players bitter at the Broncos coming in, like thinking they're going to take away from the local game? What was it like being a young bloke? What were you in your 20s then or early 20s?
No, I was late 20. When Bronx came in, I was 28.
Yeah, right.
So I was near the end of playing here anyway.
Were you hoping for a spot? Were you still hopeful?
Oh,
or?
well, while you're playing, you still always want to play or
Yeah.
play where you can, the best you can play.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there was a lot of good players to pick from. They picked 40. They took 40 out of the comp, which we had, like the full Brisbane comp in Queensland. So they only to take 40, and that was with your younger ones coming through and stuff. So there was a lot of good players. But, good luck to the ones that got picked. You know what I mean? They had a very good side, which obviously showed in the years go after that they got better and better. So,
Yeah, right.
but there was some. I mean, a lot around the clubs. There's a lot of disharmony towards them because of you went from like we're talking about before, where there might be 5,000 or 6,000 people at a home game, and it was like a family day out. You'd watch C grade, reserve grade, 18, whatever,
Colts as well.
and everything,
Yeah.
and you went from that to 200 people because everyone went to watch the Broncos. And then you got
Yeah.
all the TV come in as well. With all the TV, Sydney and everything, you watched more footy. So people were just watching it on TV and not going to your local. So there was a lot, and it affected a lot of clubs. Well, you have a look at all the old attrition, old clubs that have gone and are trying to make a comeback, like your Wests, your Brothers, Valleys, and all them. They all died on the vine because of obviously lack of attendance.
Yeah. Mate, I know the clubs are still surviving, but from the outside, it looks like that's all they're doing, surviving. The Brisbane clubs, like the Queensland Cup. Look, I know they've got an input from, what is it, Channel 9 or a bit of TV revenue come in. But, mate, it's disappointing to see, like you said, between 200 and 500 people they're going to watch them play when it's a really good competition. Mate, will it ever recover? Like, will people go back and watch, or do you think the days of go and watch local footy's done?
I don't know. I'd like to. They say, you know, you're mad, but I think to get the culture back in the clubs, you've got to go back that your reserve grade plays before your main team. So you get a bit of club harmony there. So you can watch the reserve grade boys play, they watch you play, and aspire to be higher, and you get that club harmony, mateship, and all that there. That's what you build it on. You build your club culture and everything on that. So I think you need to go back to that because now most of your Brisbane or your Q Cup sides all aligned to a NRL club anyway. And the biggest problem there is you'll have 17 players or 20 players picked on a Monday. They'll train to a Thursday, and then the NRL club might send them back 5 players or 6 players. So 6 of those that have trained thinking they're playing all week on a Friday get spat back to reserve grade. So it doesn't do, I don't believe, a great deal for club harmony.
Jack. Oh, yeah.
So, do the reserve grade not play before the first grade sides in? Oh,
Not
because I only know about AFL really, but AFL I know Morningside's still now in the quaffle. They still go reserves, then the seniors play.
Yeah, and this is where I think the fault is too as well. In the local league, they now go back to the local clubs. Like, just use East as an example. They'll go back and play for East Carina or play down at Bulimba. Right, so that's where the reserve grade. So you could be playing Q Cup one week, and then next week you could be playing at. If you played well, then they send a player back into that position that you play. You might be back and playing at Bulimba, even though you may have got man of the match the week before. So that's the problem with the NRL. But it gives you that. Well, we're aligned to the Broncos, we're aligned to Storm, we're aligned to Canberra, whatever. It's an attraction to get players to come and you get that opportunity if you're good enough to go through. But as for the club itself, I don't think it does. People will argue with me, but I don't think it does great for them.
Yeah, it's just opinions, isn't it? Everyone's opinion. I like the days of like when you go and watch all the grades as well. Like you said, it builds the atmosphere around the club, and you feel like a club. Not half of them playing on this ground, half of them playing another ground, and then the 19s playing over at Springwood or whatever. You know, it's tough to build that.
Well, what they do now is a lot too. The 20s, the 20 comp come in, and the 20s now play before, or the women play as well. So they play in the curtain raisers, which is still fine. But I think if you could get that reserve grade that plays before it, as I say, when I was playing, we used to, on a Monday night or Tuesday, first night you trained, you'd go in, all grades would train together. So say we trained Monday night, everyone would train together. So you'd all train, you split into your groups, whether you're blue, red, whatever colour you were. And then at the end of training, when you come in on the board, there'd be top 13, reserve grade, C grade. So everyone was there, and they'd announce it out on the field, and then you walk in, you'd see your name up on the board where it was. And I think, as for a club perspective, I think it was very good because everyone knew where they were. You see who was in front of you, who you wanted to beat to get there or whatever. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I think walking in knowing your name wasn't there too, that'd be fucking disheartening. So you'd want to go out that week and get a spot.
Yeah, and I think like on the Monday night, we do a bit of recovery stuff, fitness, and we play some different games and stuff. It gets that competitive against you because if someone's named in front of you, and obviously you think you should be there, it makes a lot of the games a little bit more fun.
Yeah, mate. Mate, you even
do you still do that now on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning? Bit of competition?
Well, I think if you every now and again you go along, and then if someone challenges or something that just sort of like it's in you that you have to actually, sometimes the young blokes need to be put back in their place.
better lesson.
But it seems you never lost that. Like, even just training down the gym, you still got that competitive edge. Would you say you do?
Yeah, I think
Just
I
like
think
to
I think
push?
that I think that's just I think that's most sports people, and that if you play and you played for a long time and you've been to be half successful or even successful, you've got to have that competitiveness in you. If you don't, I mean, I think you get spat out the back end. I mean, 100%. So you got to be competitive, and I mean, you get in, you compete. If you're not good enough, you learn by mistakes. Right, I'll do this next time. Away we go. Yeah. That's in any sport, I think.
So, mate, after North, was North the last
North
team in Brisbane you played?
Yeah.
So how did you end up that season, the last one?
I think we got knocked out in the prelim final. Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Mate, I've heard a few rumours that one of your sayings was they can't tackle without a head. Would it be true that you were a bit of a dirty bastard?
No, you got to get that right. You can't run without it.
I can't run without it. Sorry, mate. Yeah, mate. Nowadays, like honestly, laughs aside, but how different is the game now? Like back then, you could get away with it. It was a rough game, wasn't it?
It was. It was rough, but it was. You sort of like people say, it was a hard game, but you knew what was coming. You know what I mean? So you played differently because you protected yourself. And like people say, you get your bumper bars up, or you did this, you get your elbow up to protect. Whenever you got tackled, you always make sure you protected your head. You know what I mean? Like now, the game's played differently and probably for the better, because there was some bad things that happened over a long period of time. But you always could find out. There was a softening up period. You always found out who was soft and who wasn't. Yeah.
I'm sure you did. Mate, so after North then, you finished the season. What happened there? Were you looking at finishing up, or did you, like, how did the call from England come? Is that when you went at Batley?
Yeah, no, well, mate of mine that I played with in Bundaberg, Alan Douglas, he'd come up from Parramatta, and he'd been over in England for a year.
Who did he play for?
He played for Hunslet. But he stayed with a bloke named Johnny Robb in Batley. So he got to know people in Batley and whatever. Anyway, cut it short, I was supposed to go to Halifax, but that's when I had my broken leg.
You would have been one of my heroes then if he'd have gone to Halifax.
And so when it got later on, I was talking to Alan Douglas, and he said, you ever thought about going back over or going to England? And I said, I wouldn't mind, but like now I'm just about... He said, all right. So after a few phone calls, I got a contract sent over if you want to come over. So that's where I ended up. I ended up turning up over there, and there'd been a few people that I'd known that he'd sent from up in Emerald and different areas that had gone there the years before. So I knew what I was in for, that it wasn't that they were struggling a fair bit. But anyway, I thought I'd go over. I had my visa thing there for 9 months to go. And I got on, went over, and come back 5 years later.
Mate. How old were you then, Booth?
I played there 29.
29, yeah, right.
Mate, I'm telling you what, the ground is called Mount Pleasant. It's the fucking worst field I've ever played on in my life. Mate, it's freezing, mate.
It's freezing, yeah, but The field wasn't the worst part. It was because it's on a hill,
Oh.
and your people can't understand that the hill. It's
You notice it.
It's very bad. It's
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
It's steep, but if you could, like we used to do, teams would come, because in those days it was winter football too. It wasn't summer like they are now. So you played all through winter, and it'd be like 2 degrees, sleet and rain or whatever. It was, sometimes you're wondering what you're doing, and you'd run up the hill first half into the sleet and rain or whatever, and if you could stay within about 6 or 8 points in the first half, you knew you had them in the
You
second
could
half.
come back. Yeah, right.
You had them. Yeah.
What a name for a ground. Mount Pleasant, mate. It was fucking freezing. It was on the hill.
That's still around?
yeah,
Same,
yeah.
Same ground?
Are they still play at Mount Pleasant?
Yeah.
When
Yeah,
I
right.
when I played there, it was there, and I just was like, holy shit! It was like Boothy said, if it was your home ground, you knew how to play it. But when you had never played there before, you're like, what the fuck is this?
We played there, and a lot of blokes have said it was the coldest night they'd ever played. This is even the Pommy blokes. There was it was it wasn't Challenge Cup. I think it was John Smith Player or something. It had been canned for about 4 weeks in a row because of it was frosted and everything. Pitches had frozen. So then once it thaws out and you get the rain, it just turns to slush. Anyway, they said this night you got to play, and we were playing Lee, not Lee, Salford.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Gary Jack was there. He was playing there, Gary
yeah,
Jack.
yeah.
Andy Gregory was the halfback.
What's this, about 92-ish, maybe?
92, 93.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was Wednesday night at Mount Pleasant, and it was -3 degrees, and it was too cold to snow. It was sleet. It was just rain and sleet,
Yeah.
and the field was just like about 4 inches of mud, right? And they said, "No, you got to play." And out we go. And anyway, one of the Salford blokes got injured, and I'd never seen it before. It was that cold that all the players from both teams got together in a huddle, so to keep the warmth. And Gary Jack standing in the middle of them, and he said, "I've never been so fucking cold in my life." Anyway, he had hypothermia at half time. He couldn't come back out. There was 5 people had hypothermia that night. Had to go to hospital afterwards and that. It was ridiculous.
Were people still there watching?
Yeah, there's some in the old stand because you could get behind where it was blowing through. Yeah, but if you were there was one stand on one side. There's no one in that because it was just, yeah.
Mate, you talk about those Wednesday night games. Back then, and especially like the teams like Wigan and Leeds and St Helens, the top clubs at the time, mate, they were playing 40, 50 games a year. Well, I think you said one year you played 44 games or something like that, didn't you?
Yeah, one year we made semi-finals and we made quarter-finals of Challenge Cup and whatever. Semi-finals of the other two, Player and the Smith, I think. And I was the only one that played every game, was 54. I played 54 games for the season.
It's a lot of acupuncture.
Yes.
Fucking hell.
There's a lot of Mad Mondays. Tell us from that.
Mate, that's huge. What's our NRL season now?
26, and then like you get your like you say your top boys that play through. Yeah, I mean they get the state of origin. You get so if they play through the grand final, they'd get 5, it'd be 40. And then if they play internationals, they might get to 40, 38, 40 maybe if you play every game.
And back then, Booth, like we've said, like the game was, you could get away with a lot more. There was a lot more high shots, and anything over the shoulders was a good tackle back then.
Yeah, I found Pomeland wasn't too bad. I liked the footy over there. It was actually it was less structured.
Yeah.
They played more open football.
Yeah.
So it was more about throwing the ball around than it was defence. It's sort of like it's coming back a lot more now with obviously the Australian influence with coaches and that. But it was a lot of open football and there wasn't as much. There was still the bit of biffo that went on, whatever, but not unless we played Keithley. then there was a full-on.
Always a blue. Jeff Gratian, was it?
Jeff Ray, yeah, he's a great man.
Yeah, loved the blue.
Jeff
Tough
was,
bastard,
yeah,
wasn't
but
he?
Jeff was 40.
Yeah.
45, I think. but the last year I played there, and he played, he was 45-year-old
Playing?
playing.
Shit.
He got sent off in that last game.
Was that him
But-
and Brendan Hill, was it? Was it him
No,
and
no,
Brendan?
no. When we played Doncaster in
Oh,
the
right,
last game for the promotion game,
Yeah.
he cleaned up. I forget who he cleaned up. He went to scratch his nose, and the bloke ran into him.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
So you enjoyed your footy over there?
yeah, I really did enjoy it. It was good. We had a good mob of blokes. As I said, there was Jeff, and unfortunately Jeff passed away during COVID. He caught COVID
Yeah.
and then complications, and he passed through that. But we had a good blend of those youth. We had a lot of experience, and then we got a lot of blokes from Leeds and other clubs that were on the verge of top grade, but couldn't get in. So David Ward coached this old Wardy. He was a hard man.
Yeah.
Played Great Britain, very good hooker.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
He-
yeah, I remember him.
Yeah,
David
Ward,
Ward,
Wardy had so Wardy attracted a lot of those things around, and it was good because the first year I went there, we had Keithy Rain and that coached us, and he just retired from playing, and we're a bit all over the shop, and then they brought in Wardy the year after, and then I ended up being assistant coach to him. So we ended up, it was good, I had a really good association with Dave. He learned a lot off him and stuff, so yeah. It was good times.
Yeah. Mate, so if I ask you a couple of questions, like, who's the best player you ever played with?
I would say Gene Miles.
Do you know him, Jack?
No. No, Nate Miles.
No. No,
That's
G. Miles was a great player. He played for Wigan as well, didn't he? Did he?
Uh,
What did he play when you were there?
No, he didn't. He played after that.
Yeah.
After, yeah. So, no, Gino, before he did his knee, he was near on unstoppable. He was, yeah. Like Wally's a great player and that, but just solely Gino was on it. It was just, he had everything. He had step, he was powerful, he could tackle, he could do. He slowed up a bit. He wasn't as good after his knee as what he was, but he was still, well, have a look what happened
Yeah,
after
yeah,
that.
that's right.
If
yeah.
he never ever would have had that knee in that trial game, he could have been anything. Yeah, he was,
What about best player you played against?
probably him and Wally.
Hmm.
Or my initiation to Brisbane football was, first game we played Redcliffe. I had to mark Chris Close.
Oh, yeah.
Old trunk legs. He was a good man, hard player too, but it'd be, probably, it goes without saying, like Wally. But Wally and the other bloke who I played a bit against in England was Ellery Handley. He was a very, very good footballer.
Yeah, he's my favourite. He's the one that I call him as the best player I've seen in my sort of generation. 'Cause he did it on both sides of the world too, didn't he? You know.
He did it out here and that, and I was fortunate I got to meet him and got to know him really well over there on the field and off the field through a mate of mine who we played footy with, Stevie Parrish, who was good mates with him. They played at Bradford together.
Yeah.
And we used to go around to his place, and he never drank or did anything, right? You know what I mean? He was always fit and whatever, but he was a good bloke off the field as well as he was on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good bloke.
Mate, so when you come back, what happened when you came back? What did you do? Just get more into your work, and you're a bricklayer by trade?
I come
what
back
happened
and when I come back, I went out to see the oldies and that in Bundy, and that I thought I'll stay there for a month or something. Anyway, when I was there, I got offered to do a bit of work or whatever, just bricklaying. So with a fellow I used to know from up there, so I did that, and then I ended up. The Bundy Grizzly Bears started. They started that team.
Yeah.
Wanted to put a team in the Q Cup. So they asked me, so I ended up coaching that for the first year they had it. Well, it only lasted 1 year because of,
The coach.
well, probably. No, but they didn't give us a chance of anything. You know what I mean? We ended up winning, I think, 6 games for the year, which it's a bit like the Dolphins now. They wrote us off, thought we were shit. And we had a lot of young players, all from the local clubs. We only had one bloke from down here, Fenton. I forget his first name. he come up, his front row, he was good for us. But other than that, they're all local. So we did really well, but then the following year when it was all clubs were agreeing to it, the 4 clubs, but then one club, or won't name, Brothers, they wanted to take it over and run it themselves and run it out of there. So it all just dismantled and never ever come back. So we only had the 1 year. And then I moved from then back down to Brisbane for work and that, and got the reserve grade job at East.
Yeah, right. So were you, bricklaying down here, or were you part of that union? Or
No, before, when I'd come down, I was doing bricklaying, but then Normie Pax from Pax Constructions, a formwork company.
They're his sponsor, obviously.
He's the sponsor. He used to support East. He said, stop doing that bricklaying, come and do this. So I went and did the formwork, working on all the high rises and stuff. So when I come back, I did that bit short stint in Bundy, and then come back and they put me straight back on the formwork again.
Mate. Were you doing a bit of coaching in England before you left as well? Like, were they transitioning you from player to coach over there?
Yeah, well, the last 3 years I was there, I was assistant coach to Wally.
Yeah.
So in that era then, because we'd done a lot here on skills and stuff before it had all come in, where before we do, you'd go out, run a few laps, play a game of touch or whatever, but we had a lot more skill work, so I used to do all the skill work and stuff, and Wardy would do all the coaching on the field. So 2 nights a week, I'd do all the skills, drills, tackling stuff and whatever, and Wardy would do all just basically attack stuff on the field. So it worked well, you know what I mean, because you had 2 different voices.
Yeah.
And then I didn't have to run as much either.
Bit of delegating of the work.
Yeah, but like you're saying before about Mount Pleasant, there was a field here, but they used to make us train because when it was real wet on the back, on the other side, well, like I said before, the wind, that stand used to break it when you went on the other side. Training never lasted too long.
So your drills were done on the right side of the field. Oh shit. Yeah, mate. So you come to Brizzy, you started coaching reserve grade at East. Who was the first grade coach then?
Graham Hurley.
Oh yeah.
Graham Hurley.
Yeah.
He was. So I had 4 years Reggie's, and then Hurley got moved on, and then I got the top grade.
What, you were there 5 years? A couple
7.
Of years? In the first grade squad?
I had 7 years with top side, and we made 3 prelims and 1 grand final.
How'd you go in the grand final?
We got beaten.
Who by?
Burley.
He doesn't want to say this.
No, it was by Burley. We ended up playing 19 minutes of extra time.
Oh, fuck.
We got beaten in extra time, and that was solely because we ended up running out of blokes. We had 2 blokes back cramping so we ended up defending with 11 against 13. Yeah, we just run out of legs. We should have won it earlier, but
Didn't happen.
it happened.
Yeah.
We were 12-0 down after 8 minutes. And then we lost Renouf. We had Pearl playing with us.
Oh,
and Darren Smith.
Darren Smith at the time.
And then Smithy got knocked out, 3rd tackle after when we went into extra time. And the camel, whatever I can't say, Masood, the referee, he would not give a penalty. It should have been a penalty, and it was right in front, so we should have won then. But we played on 5 minutes extra time each way. It was still tied, and then it was kick-off, play to someone scores.
Is that what it was? Yeah, right.
5 each way it went, and then played. So we ended up 19th minute, Burley scored. That was it.
Score a try or?
Try.
That would have been heartbreaking.
Well, they got that fatigued, and Matty Lockyer was playing with us.
Oh, yeah.
And Matty was on the bench, put him out, and our fullback got hurt, and Matty got the ball, and he must have lost where he was, so he's tried to drop a field goal from 65 metres out. But he must have thought, it was just through fatigue, he must have thought that he was closer, like on this side of it. Yeah. But that's what happens, you know what I mean? People are that fatigued. Because we come back where and Pearl dropped the ball over the line. Like, you know, he got tackled and then he bounced, and they pulled him up for it. They said he dropped it over the line. So we had opportunities where we could have, but...
Mate, what was it like coaching Steve Renoff?
He was really good.
Yeah?
Yeah, really good. Him and Smithy, two complete different people. You know what I mean? Like, both played at the highest level, whatever. Smithy was more, couldn't play to any sort of structure. You had to like let him roam.
Yeah, to get the best out of him.
Off the cuff, just let him go. But he was very good. And but Pearl, he was very good with not only on the field stuff, but with off field with players, talking to young blokes, stuff. He'd go out of his way, like, no, don't do this. He'd be watching someone maybe doing reserve grade, doing a drill or something. He'd just go over and say, no, don't run that line. You should be coming here instead of there.
Oh, so he's a real club man.
Yeah, he was really good. And I used to always have Thursday nights, you'd have a soft drink or a beer after training, and we'd all sit down and just have a yak.
Yeah.
Right? And he loved him. He was the last one to go. He'd sit there, but he'd tell you a few stories on stuff going around. But, yeah, I think a very good man.
Yeah, he was good for the squad, good for the kids and all the young blokes and everyone.
Well, he still is now. You have a look.
Yeah.
He's still around. He looks after, does all the stuff for the Indigenous and everything. He's very, very good.
Man, to do what he did in the game, he could play the game. Like if I asked my old man who his favourite players were, Steve Renoff's in his best team ever, and my dad watched it from years ago. Well, he was so balanced and fluid.
Him and Jonathan Davies,
Oh yeah,
who played for Wigan and that. He come over and played here, but those two reminded me so much of each other.
Yeah,
they were just so well balanced, but fucking that quick.
Yeah,
over 30 metres, they're gone. Yeah. They put 10 metres on you in 30 metres.
Yeah, Jonathan Davies, he could play too. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Did you ever play against him?
Yeah, we played him in quarterfinals of Challenge Cup. That's what I said. We played them. There was a fire. They had all the guns.
Yeah, yeah.
And we played them over.
Oh, is that at Widnes? Were they at Widnes then? Yeah, right, yeah.
And we played them at Widnes. And we scored the first try. Everyone was all hushed. The Batley boys are coming. That was the last.
Yeah.
I think it ended up 46 sixes.
Oh, just retired after the first try.
But actually, it was a good experience. And to their credit, as I say, back then, like the dressing sheds there at Widnes, they were over here. You come in, we're here. Afterwards, a fire, the whole lot of them all come across. And like we were like second grade team or whatever. Yeah. But they all come in the sheds and they had a beer with us and they were there for probably 10, 15 minutes having a chat.
Yeah, that's good.
Which is good, you know. I mean, where a couple of other clubs that we played against in the top, they didn't want nothing to do with you.
Yeah, didn't want to know.
No, so but no, it was good.
So, mate, you enjoyed your time at East coaching?
Very much, yeah. It was good. We had obviously when we got beaten in that grand final. For the next year, we lost 11 or 12 players got signed into Sydney to NRL clubs.
Right. So really? That many?
So you had to try and rebuild again. And that took a couple of years. 1 year, the next year, I think we finished 4th or 5th. Just snuck in the semis. And then year after, what we had, and with a couple more, we finished in the prelim. We got beaten by Ipswich. Ipswich played someone then in the grand final.
Oh, yeah. Danny McAllister sent off in the first 20 seconds.
Yeah, well, that
big bunyip.
Yeah, we got beaten that one. Yeah, so well, that was a good side. That side was probably the least talented of anyone I had.
Yeah.
But they all wanted to work. They all wanted to work for each other. They'd go out. You tell them what to do. They just, no dramas, done.
Yeah, good side to coach.
Good side, yeah. A lot of them were blokes I had from reserve grade too that had come through.
Yeah.
So yeah, very good. Yeah, good side, but probably not the most skillful or whatever. But they knew how to play. They played hard.
Mate, you know how they talk about club culture and things like that. I think we've got a decent club culture here as well. Did you have to put a lot of effort into how you wanted the club to be from when you took over to sort of the heights of your time at East? Like, did you have to change attitudes and things like that? Was there any bad eggs in the group that you had to sort of pull their heads in, that sort of shit?
Oh, for sure. I mean, there was certain players that obviously Hurls thought were good for the club, who I didn't think much of.
Yeah.
So, but you can't judge them on that, but it's about what they can offer you or offer your club. Sometimes you can have really good players or whatever. They might be the best, but they might be dickheads.
Yeah,
you know
poison.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But you put up with them because they can play on the field and you can work that around. But normally they're no good for you. So, yeah, you work them out and you bring in the players and you get, I think if you can get a core of the right blokes with the right attitude, that filters off onto the others because I mean, you have a look, everyone talks about the Storm. And I think Bellamy, what he's done there is he's built this culture, but now they've taken ownership of that culture, the players. So anyone that goes there, he doesn't have to go and run the riot act on them. This is what's required. They actually expect it of you, and this is what you got to do.
Yeah. Well, I watched that Dawn of the Dolphins last night. Have you seen it on?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
Mate, I sent Jack a message last night. You got to watch this. It's exciting, like seeing Trad on there and the boys, and you know.
Was he warming up?
Mate, you should see him. He's in the outfit. He's in a medium Redcliffe outfit. Looks a treat. Oi, no, but he's
Warming up for sparring.
yeah, but it was so good to see and so good listening to some of the meetings they have, and it's a doco. It's not like nothing staged. It's like the video cameras are with them all the time, and like when Bennett's choosing his side, then he misses out on Pongy, and it's like fuck. And then the next day they sign somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, but listen to him talk, and I was just listening to him on a podcast with James Graham, it was, and just talking about creating culture. And he said, I'm a coach that tries to look to the future rather than what's happening now. He said, of course I can't care about each game each weekend, but it's about building something for the future and just keep improving. And if you can keep improving your squad and your side and your culture, then eventually you'll get where you want to be anyway.
Oh, yeah, I fully agree with that. I think it's the same as everything. You never stay the same. You either go forwards or backwards. If you think you're going to hold one line, you're going to go backwards. So you got to always be looking to improve or whatever. Yeah. If you are, you like you're saying, they're going to go forward. But people think you're going to hold one level. You'll go backwards.
Yeah. And you've been coming to the club here since I think we opened in 07. You were dead. It must have been that then when you started, 07 or 08.
07 it was, yeah.
It was, yeah, so we started in the February, and then you and the big Royce came down. And remember those first couple of sessions with the Royster coming back then?
Big Royster, yeah, we did a few bully pads.
Did a few bully pads, and it was the end of one's career. Well, Boothy's still here. But anyway.
Royce, where are you?
Yeah. But, mate, you've been, obviously you've seen a few things change, and you've seen Jack grow up and now he coaches you.
Exactly. I've seen Jack from when he come in. I remember the first few times he come in up training at the old place. Up at that was the uni one up the top.
The old uni up the top there, yeah.
Yeah, all the way through, watching him go.
And now he's giving you a hiding Mondays and Wednesdays.
Exactly.
He still gives me a hiding, actually. He's got the conditioning covered. The bear crawls, the assault bike yet to be seen, though.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him on the assault bike.
He's done one. He's done one per day. He hasn't done
One.
his 12 yet. Oh, no, he did 4 the other day, didn't he? He did 4.
I did, of course I did.
He'd do it.
Him and Zillman, I reckon they should partner up.
Yeah. They'll run the numbers, run the strategy on how to approach it, and then they'll do it, yeah.
Will they need the spew bucket?
I did.
I know.
I think what we're doing is we're just watching the amateurs, see them what they're doing, and then we'll say, we don't want to just shatter them.
Look at these dickheads. Yeah.
What are these doing?
Experience.
So what did a pre-season look like for you as a coach, Boothy? What did you put the boys through? What were you trying to get out of it, and how were you trying to build that culture before the season started?
I probably learnt the best of that. I went down and had a season with an off-season. I went for 3 weeks with Johnny Lang down at Penrith when he was coaching at Penrith. And I had the whole 3 weeks with Langy from morning, nights, whatever. And Richo was the running the club and whatever. So I got to see everything. Afterwards, Richo would take me into the club. But it was about how they structured everything. You know what I mean? Like, we'd go out and say, right, before you do fitness or whatever, but they used to have blocks like for weeks of what you'd have, and you'd cover your skill stuff, your cardio, your strength, and whatever. So it'd be done it was like in a block. And so that gave me the idea so from then on, that same template, I sort of just used to move it around, and that I worked off that till the last time I've been coaching, is just move it around, move stuff. If you need to do more on handling or, defence or whatever, you just structure that into those weeks.
Just adjust it, yeah. I think I got the same from when I did some time with Bodo. He did 12-week preparation and periodisation plans and everything. But where I struggled a little bit, I eventually worked it out, was they had, like you said, 3 sessions a day, and we were coming back to 3 sessions a week. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, Jesus, which bit do I put importance on? Which is that? Did you struggle with that, sort of fitting all their sessions into your couple of sessions, or did you just, like, prioritise?
Yeah. Well, they got the time to do it. So some of the stuff, like they get, in a session, you do your weights, your sprints. We go from doing weights or do our speed work on the field, then come in and do your weights. Then you go out and do your ball work. So where they only do one of them on each session, you know what I mean? So it's about then just, as I said, you just got to move stuff around to suit. And sometimes you might need to say, well, right, today, all we're going to do is cardio, and then we're going to come in and do weights to finish off. That's it. Yep. So you just prioritise what you need. Your skill stuff and all that is, I found, I used to try and incorporate the skills into games. Yeah. So you do skill games. Yeah. So you try and get 2 things done at once. And it gives you a bit of cardio. It's a bit more fun for them as well.
Yeah. Did you, when you were coaching, did you expect them to do extras themselves, or you didn't push that on them, like, because you knew the cream would rise to the top anyway? The ones that were serious had practice and do extras anyway, or?
No, we had, I got a kicking coach and that come down, lad I knew. He was very good, played AFL and that. He did. Also, so I got Dan Collins, he was an Olympic rower. He come down and did our strength and that for a while, and did with the rowing and different stuff. So I brought different people in just to try and mix things up a bit, you know what I mean? Yeah. But it was all about trying to prioritise of what you could get done. Like there was, with the weights, because you never had the time to do the proper weights, we do 2 in-house sessions, and then you'd have 2 that you'd have to do out. Yeah. Which would be, we'd have a program for them, what they have to do for that month or for the next 2-week block or whatever. So you do this in-house, and that would be what you'd have to do outside. Yeah. And that they had access to the gym and that at certain times, because on the opposite nights we didn't train. You'd have your Colts and that, so they could go in and do it at those. There's a block of time they could do it. Or Mark McDonald used to open up the gym because he's doing the field down there. He used to open it up for 2 hours in the morning for them to go if they wanted to go. So it's about, they had to put a bit in themselves. Yeah. It wasn't all done structured. Some did it, and some I knew never, like wingers. They're always good.
Blokes that hang around footballers.
Woody, I don't think, we named the door of the Woody.
Oh, Woody, Wade Liddell.
Yeah, Wade Liddell door.
Can I mention? We'll tag him in this.
He never went through that door. When he walked through it, he used to walk out the back one.
Woody spent some time in England. Gateshead, didn't he play at?
He played Gateshead, yeah. I think he spent a bit of time there.
Yeah, I think he did, yeah. Jacko, what's it like coaching Booth? Like, obviously you train Boothy in the mornings. What does he bring to us as a club, as well as, the groups that he trains with?
I think Boothy, the one thing I get from Boothy, and like my mum will back it up, because mum come down and trained here a little bit, and Ellie May come down, but Boothy just looks after anyone that comes down, to be honest. And if I'm running a session, he'll help someone out, or if someone's running 10 minutes late, I don't really know anyone who does, but if a coach runs 10 minutes late, he's helping them out with a warm-up.
Is that what happens?
Yeah, well...
Yeah, right.
Not when I'm on duty, though, Booth? No.
I always get here at your sessions about 20 minutes early, that way I can do a bit extra because the door is open.
Yeah, the door. And on Fridays, everyone turns up at 2 to 6.
Yeah.
No, but it's just
You
a good,
used to turn up Fridays, didn't you?
Yeah, I used to.
Yeah,
but,
used to. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting out
Used
pushed
to.
on the bench press these days by a few of the members, so I choose
Accountants.
to sleep in.
Accountants
Accountants
out
smashing me. But yeah, no, just a good clubman, to be honest. Like, even when I was a young fella, it was always the same. Used to say g'day to you and make you feel a part of something. And look, I'm sure he did that when he was coaching as well, and made everyone feel welcome and a part of a club atmosphere. And it's a shame, like, you don't have as much to do with East these days, do you? But
No.
nah, it's a shame because, you know, you bring a lot to a club, especially down the boxing shop. And I know you run your Tuesday sessions as well, and with your little elite group, which I haven't got an invite to yet. So
Well, you're
I'm
not up to the
working on-
level of Andy
yeah.
Rose yet, I don't think.
no, after after boxing, I might get a call up. You never know. But definitely, like, you're obviously a hard worker. And were you the same when you were playing footy? Was that always a big attribute to yourself?
I think it'd come back to, I always have a lot of thanks to Johnny Biggs, the bloke who I go right back to start as a gingin. Through the athletics and the footy and everything, he installed that into us about the hard work. You got to work.
Yeah.
And he used to train us hard, like, and we're only young kids, right? But because he was an Australian rower and everything, he used to run that King's Cup or whatever they used to call the rowing thing, and that he was a guy. But he just had, this is what you got to do if you want to succeed. This is what you have to do, and by watching what he practiced and preached was right. I mean, so I think in that, everyone that played in that, we had success right through later on in 15, 16s and that when we got into Brisbane Bundy comp, and all of us went and played together at Natives. We all went from Gingin to Natives because that's where Biggsy had played before, so he sent us all to there, and we won. That team won about 5 comps in about 7 years. But that, I think it all come back from what was installed to us down there. And as I say, always, if there's something where you're training or something and someone's 10 yards in front of you, I'll try and beat them. It's just something in you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You might be running along and you got 100 metres to go, well, you might as well be in front of him than behind him.
Yeah, I think we could all go back to someone in our life early on. Like, obviously, I met you when I was younger, and my dad pushed me pretty hard too. So I think you with Paul, your dad as well, and just having people to put that competitive edge in you. And I think a lot of kids don't have that these days. Like, we go all around a lot of the schools and we try and install that into kids. Like, if you're doing sprints or you're doing bear crawls or you're doing punching, you want to beat the bloke next to you. And a lot of the kids are just happy with just turning up. Yeah, would you agree with that, Boothy? Or?
Mate, I fully agree. Like, when I finished at East and that, I did some stuff with a couple of clubs there, but then I did a bit down the juniors. And the hardest part I found was, and Andrew G's young bloke was playing in the same team that I was coaching. Yeah. And one night, the defence was terrible at times. They were good and terrible. So I set them up in this drill, and they had to do 4 tackles in a row, right? This is every one. And well, this one kid who always wouldn't tackle, he always tackled one shoulder, right? I made him tackle till he did the 4. Well,
hang on. You always he would never use his left, or he'd always use the same side.
Always tackle on his right. He wouldn't tackle with his left.
He would never hit with his left. Yeah, right.
So I made him do this drill, which everyone did, and they had to do the 4 tackles. If you miss one, you had to keep going until you did the 4, right? Well, he was there for about. In the end, it was actually boring me. It was. I made him stay, and then I got into trouble because they said that I was actually bullying the kid and doing this, you know what I mean? So I said, no, I'm not. I said, what I'm doing is trying to make him so he protects himself, so he can tackle, because what he's doing at the moment, he's putting his head in the wrong position. And that's where a lot of these blokes get knocked now. They're getting their heads in the wrong positions. But that young fella, well, to say, from that, he went on. He's probably ended up being our best defender. Yeah. But the penny dropped in his head that night. Yeah. He probably did about 50 tackles, but eventually he learned. He's a bit like, what's his name, Sammy on the rowers, 300.
Yeah.
Eventually you'll learn.
I think he missed 6 in a row.
I don't think he learnt though, the big fella.
He got there in the end though.
No, but I mean, I think there's you got to be disciplined to the state where you got to push people. You can't have them in their little comfort zone all the time. And you know, Jack, everyone, we all know, the way you only get better, you got to push yourself out of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
Other than that, you know what I mean, you're going to stay there. And that's what we talked about before, whether you improve or you go backwards. If you just stay in that one groove, you'll go backwards. You won't improve. So it's about pushing yourself. And you know that in your own head, whether you've done it or you haven't. So,
as Jack mentioned about we try and instill that into the kids we work with. Some of these kids are from, I just dread to grow up in circumstances like theirs, wouldn't you, Jack? Like, they don't have people that push them, and so we're going in there trying to give them a bit of hope and a bit of belief. And one of the things I say to them is like, you won't win everything, but you must try to.
yeah.
You must fucking try, because, mate, an example I say, if I give you $10,000 and I tell you to run a business, I'd want you to win. You know what I mean? I'd want you to make that 10,000 into 20,000. And those people that like, sometimes you might be the parents that are the worst people around you. Like, tell you, oh, it's okay, just take part. Don't try and win. Don't worry about winning. Just walk the cross country. I'm like, no. That's fucking rubbish. You get out there and you try your hardest to be successful, because your life will continue. Like your life from Johnny Biggs, was that his name? Your life has been the same mindset throughout. Still is today. Try and win. Try and compete. Try and win. You won't win everything, but you should have a crack at it. You should have. There's nothing better than beating your mates anyway.
Yeah, and as I say, I think it just becomes a habit to you. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to think about it, because when you get fatigued or you get put in those positions, you automatically just click on. You don't have to say, oh, listen, I've got to do this.
Yeah.
You bang away you go. And it's, everyone gets a prize. Unfortunately, I think is probably one of the worst things that's happened to us. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You got to learn to lose to be a better winner.
Yeah.
So sometimes you learn more by losing than you do by winning.
That's so true. Like, even just, I know we've had those sprint sessions on the assault bike lately, and I've been doing this for a long time, and then you get to a stage where you're like, fuck, do I still have that in me? But like you said, you get to a certain point and you just want to beat the bloke next to you. Like, we had the times, and I knew the other day I was just doing it so I could take a photo to give all the boys shit that I beat them.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to do it for. I didn't want to do it for myself. I just wanted to beat every other bloke.
Yeah,
and I did do that.
Exactly like you're saying. You get there, like you got the 12 to do, and you'll get to 8, and you think, oh, I can't, and you start tapering a bit, and then someone will say something to you, oh, well, I did 34. Well, automatically, in your head, you don't even have to say it. You'll do 31 or 30.
That's right,
You'll do
That's
100. You'll do 100.
It's crazy, eh?
And, mate, that winning attitude is a better mindset to have from a young age than somebody that's been told, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. Like, fuck that. They'll live the rest of their life being soft. You know, you've got to have a bit of edge about you, you know, and like, you know, young men especially, you know, like it's, like we've said before, Jack, it's still okay in this day and age to be a young man that wants to have a fight and be aggressive and be like, it's in us from, you know, from birth.
Yeah, be a winner, you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with striving to be the best you can.
Nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with it, no. And as I say, that just installs in you in anything you do.
It stays with you for life, just like you and what we've had as young people.
Yeah, I know you spoke about Johnny Biggs being a mentor and someone who played a big part in your life. Did you have a lot to do with your father on the cane fields? Did you ever look at that as an option for yourself, or?
Mate, we like the growing up, it was horrendous. But we had never had jack shit money, right? So we never wore never wore boots till we went to high school, right? So I had to put on boots to go to high school, which I'd never worn boots before. You didn't have to.
You barefoot
all the time.
Country.
Yeah, and never had to wear them at football to under 13s, so it was in high school. So so basically never wore shoes, and then we had to buy shoes, which but on the farm. In the end, the sugar went really bad prices, so the old man had to work. He went and worked at the water resources, building all the new dams and that. So me and me brother used to have to work the farm. So we'd get up in the mornings, go 4 o'clock, whatever, do the cows, bring them in, milk them, separate stuff, do with the cream, whatever, do all that. And then because of that, we'd miss the bus, so we'd have to ride to school, which was about 10k on the treadleys. We'd train after, if we'd had footy training or whatever, then we'd ride home. Then we'd have to do the cows and that again, and then we'd get on the tractors and plough to 11, 12 at night, and then redo again.
That's madness, eh, when you think of that.
Wow.
And you know the best part was, I always say to people, it wasn't so much that, but when we come back, because we only had tanks on the thing, they'd boil up. There used to be the old copper thing you'd sit in and heat it.
Yeah.
So that's the only hot water you had. We had no
Oh,
hot water,
really?
right? So you'd have to heat it. But because you come in late, and it was in the one tub, everyone had bathed, and there were 7 kids and mum.
Yeah.
So we'd come in, and you'd come in, and it'd end up, because everyone had bathed, it'd end up with like a crust or or stuff on it, whatever, and you couldn't be bothered. So we'd end up we just have a bath underneath the tank outside, and away you go. So yeah, we had well, that's where I learnt to work as well. You know what I mean, you had to, because we were working, and in the end, they went through for about 4 years, and in the end, we just couldn't do it anymore.
So what age you were doing that from? What age?
I used to drive a tractor from about 4-year-old.
Bullshit. Yeah, right.
Mate, kids nowadays are worried about not getting Wi-Fi, and you're fucking working from 4 a.m. till midnight.
But we used to, when I was 4, I used to drive the tractor up to where the old man and them, they used to cut the cane, because then we didn't have harvesters and that. So they used to just cut it by hand. So all the farmers would get together and they'd cut like our farm one day, then the next. So I'd drive the tractor up with the smokers and the flags of tea for them on the old tractor. Yeah, so I'd have to get down, because I couldn't, my feet, if I sat in the seat, I couldn't push the clutch in for the change gears. So I just have to stand down on in between. You'd just push the gears, and in the end, the old man would say, "You been using the clutch?" Yeah, I've been. Just
crunch. Oh shit.
Yeah, no, but I mean, they were really good days too, because we could do whatever we want. We had creeks, we had whatever. We used to do some stupid things. Yeah, some very silly things, but because the old man was away and that, we used to make these flying foxes across the creeks from trees. You get in a big gum tree here, we'd roll it across and pull it across with the tractor around, and then we tie it over the top, put the pulley on it, pull it down with the tractor on the bottom, tie it so it was.
Yeah.
And then you'd have the flying fox.
Yeah.
And you'd start out of this tree, which is about probably 40 feet in the air, and you'd have to let go before the water, so you'd land in the water, because if not, you'd hit the bank on the other side.
Any accidents, mate?
There was a couple that got a bit closer to the shallows, and but one I had, the next door farmer, he seen us doing it and come over and cut it down before we killed each other.
Probably a good job. Probably a good job, really.
Yeah.
Mate, great chat. Good having Boothy on the show. Jacko?
Yeah, loved it, mate. Yeah, real good.
No, thanks, boys. It's been a pleasure. Been good.
Appreciate it. Good man, Booth. Thank you for listening to G&JB show. We'll be back next week. Who we got, Jacko? We got anyone?
I don't know. We don't have anyone lined up.
Maybe a surprise.
Yeah, we banked on Boothy getting here, so we can retire after this, I think.
That's it.
Yeah, this will let us
is
millions.
record numbers.
I thought this was a 2-week thing.
Yeah,
well, we come back next week. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
right,
both.
Good man,
boys.
both.
Cheers, mate.